how would you kind of, looking back on it, how would you describe the Australian music scene when Screamfeeder started treading the boards in the early 90s?
Um, I think it was a really different time, but you know, I get asked this question a lot in interviews, and it's an interesting question because when you're of that age, like 18, 19, early 20s, it's a time of your life. It's like you're just out amongst it and everything's new and exciting and you're meeting new people and you're experimenting with stuff and things and music and everything's you know what I mean? Everything
Hmm.
is wild. That was me in the early 90s. I joined Screenfeeder. I was 20, straight out of uni where I studied film, and I'd played in a few bands in Brisbane. So I was part of this little scene that was happening in Brisbane already. And when I joined, there was this nice collection of bands, like I don't know if you know this band Midget and Fur and Bud, and a few other bands that were kind of this heavier sort of collection of musicians and music stuff. None of us had jobs, like we were living very simply because, we didn't really need a lot of money. Rent was really cheap. Um, it was a really exciting time because we didn't have to go to day jobs and we weren't part of the grind. We were free to like make music and some people were artists and stuff like that. I mean, some people did have jobs. It wasn't everybody didn't have a job, but it was just this simpler time where everything was really inexpensive in lots of ways. Um, and this scene evolved, and you know, we could see it being like what was happening in Brisbane later, like with Custard and Powderfinger and then Regurgitator and stuff like that. Like in the early 90s, we started to see this label called Sub Pop putting out music by bands like Mudhoney and Tad and Nirvana. And one of the guys from Bud was in the singles club that's Sub Pop had, so that he was getting sent singles in the mail that arrived like 3 months after they were put out. And we're like, oh my God, who's this band? And, there was no internet, there was
Mm.
no like Spotify and YouTube. Like you had to find music. And then you've kind of found your people because of the music they listen to. And you become a little gang and a little scene. And so, yeah, we were seeing all this stuff coming out of Seattle, and we felt like, wow, this is kind of like what we're doing. And it was really, really exciting. And then it all kind of blew up. So yeah, that was back before like Triple J kind of hit. But when that happened, that was like a whole new world. Yeah.